Hey people, this is Aram and welcome to DMing 101. I get asked a lot of questions about DMing, about how to run a great game, about what makes a good DM, about how to encourage your players to role play more, about how to world build. And so I've decided to take all those answers and put them into a list, and I recently blasted it out on Twitter. It got a really good response, but Twitter is limited. 280 characters can only say so much. So I've decided to expand on these ideas 5 answers at a time and present them as a video series. And we're gonna start right from the top. Rule number 1, speak less. Encourage your players to describe their own actions instead of doing it for them. This is a lesson I learned the hard way. I was playing a game a while ago, and a friend of mine named Marty Hoffman was playing in it with me. And Marty's an excellent role player. He's devious, basically. He's one of the most devious players I've ever played with, and he is very committed to his characters. And when I started, because I had played with DMs who, the players would tell the DM their action, and they'd roll the dice, but the DM would describe everything that happens. He was the storyteller. The players were cogs, basically, with ideas, but the DM is the one who told you how the world reacted to what you were doing. And I started that with him. He was like, I'm gonna fire my bow. And I was like, okay, you pull back your bow. And he was like, no, I'm gonna describe my action. He just cut me right off. And I remember being very taken aback. And because I wasn't as sure as I was now in my storytelling, it felt confrontational, but it wasn't confrontational. He was just standing up for his own ideas. He was standing up for the character he believed in and wanted to play it the way he thought it should be played. It's really important to give your players that room. It's really important to trust them to say the right things and to tell a story in a way that won't break your world. Now, you can help them. For instance, if your player, let's say, attacks a lion and scores a hit, rolls a bunch of damage, but doesn't kill the lion, what you can then say is, you got the hit, the lion's really wounded, but still on its feet. Describe your action. And that way you're not gonna get, well, I decapitated it, because you didn't decapitate it, it didn't die. Then you have to backtrack and it's always awkward. Just give them a little bit of bumpers so that when they describe the action, they've got all the information they need to get it right. If they don't, that's your fault. There are 4, 5, 6, maybe even more people around your table, all with really solid ideas, and every single one of them have thought about their character more than you have. They're gonna come up with better ideas than you. It's gonna happen all the time. Or they're gonna come up with ideas that work so well with yours, you're gonna be shocked. And they're gonna reveal things about your game that you didn't even see coming because they're all paying attention to everything you're saying. So just give your players the room to create in your world, and definitely give them the room to create their own characters. It's all gonna make your story and your game that much better. Rule number 2, be prepared. Run through scenarios in your head, practice voices, take copious notes, and read the source material if you are playing an established world you didn't write. Have short encounters you can drop in anywhere to help cover for unexpected player choices. I got a little bit of flack for this one, and I was surprised about it because it's like walking into someone's house. You gotta show respect. If you're diving into someone's world, respect that world, learn that world, get to know the characters and how they work, get to know the writer's motivations. If there are books about it like Faerun or Greyhawk or some of the more well-established world, read those books, know those worlds. And this is for 2 reasons. 1, again, it's just about respect. You gotta show the author of that world respect. You can't just go traipsing about his world, mudding the place up and know nothing about it, because you got a couple characters down and you glanced at a world map. And the other part is that if these are popular stories you're talking about, like Faerun and Greyhawk and my favorite Dragonlance, other people are going to know them better than you. It's gonna happen. There's gonna be someone at your table who has read every damn thing. And the moment they know something that you don't, or that you get some lore wrong and they know it, it just takes away some of the magic. Because if the players think you know everything, if they think you've got an answer for everything, then they treat the world like it's real. It has weight and depth and feeling. The second you start fumbling around, that illusion just crumbles. And again, it's about respect of the original material. If you don't want to do that, write your own world. The best way to make sure your players don't know more about a world than you do is to write it and not show it to them until you play. That way you have full control. If that's what you want, do that. But if you're gonna play someone else's world, you've got to do the homework. Rule number 3, root for your players. The DM should be the PC's biggest fan. They are the heroes in this world, and you should make them feel as such even at first level. I'm not saying make the journey easy, but the people around your table should feel like you're on their side. This one is a no-brainer. The reason you are in this seat is because you like to tell stories and make people happy. That's it. That is the only reason you should be here. If you're here for any other reason, if you think it's a contest or you have to beat them or you have to prove how smart you are or how clever you are, if you think that's what this is about, get the fuck out. You are doing a disservice to yourself, to the world you're trying to create, and to your players. There's no adversarial position here. You can crush them at any time. You can obliterate them at any time. You want to humiliate 6 people sitting around you? You're free to do so. It's real fucking easy because you have all the cards. If you want to make a truly great game that your players will remember and love you for, be on their side. Root for them. Find ways for your players to succeed. I guarantee you, if you do that, you will have a fantastic campaign. Rule number 4, encourage your players to have rich backstories and exploit the hell out of them. Get to know their darkest fears and deepest desires and find a way to dangle both in front of them. Nothing makes a player feel more immersed than using their histories in your story. This, again, no-brainer. And also, it makes your job easier. The players are doing work for you. When they do these backstories, when they really think about their characters and get invested and bring that story to the table, the second you start dropping those things in, they're gonna feel locked into your story in a way that's very hard to accomplish that easily with any other method, because it feels real. They have an idea of what their character is, and now you've gone yes and. It's all about yes and. If you have to say no, there has to be a reason. You want to find a way to yes every single time. When you find a way to yes, you're building a cooperative story and everyone feels involved. If you're pushing back as a DM and saying, no, you can't do this, no, you can't do that, no, you're just building fences and boxes for no reason. And it's probably because you're not prepared or you're not sure about your storytelling. Not your player's fault. You've got to find a way to say yes and, unless it's completely ridiculous. But otherwise than that, work these things into your story. The first time you pull up like, you know, their mom passed away so they're sad, or they're missing their lost brother, the first time you toss these little details into the game, they're just gonna lock in. And I guarantee you, again, that's gonna make your story and your game better. Rule number 5, be friends with your players. Hang out with them, talk on social media, go get a drink or a burger on a night that you're not gaming. Do something off table with them. The closer the relationships you can build off table, the better your game and your role playing will be. A lot of games start with friends that then game together, or they game together and they become close friends. But I can't tell you how many tables I've seen where the only time they hang out together is one Sunday a month, or one Sunday every other month, or if they're lucky, maybe one Sunday twice a month. And that's the only time they see each other, and they don't communicate any other way. That's not an organic relationship. It's always going to feel like the cogs that you're put into. It's players and DM. There'll be a hierarchy that will exist, and it really doesn't give much room for storytelling and creativity if you feel like you're always talking to the teacher. If you guys go out and you hang out and you become friends and you truly like each other, then you're gonna root for each other. You're gonna root for the players more because you want them to succeed because you like the people who are playing them. And your players are gonna root for your campaign because they like you and they want you to succeed, so they're gonna invest more. They're gonna show up more. They're gonna write journal entries and do the extra work to help you make that world that much better. Nothing kills a table more than knowing that those are 5 strangers around it. You can see it on live streams all the time. You know a table where they like each other within the first 5 minutes. I would say it's probably one of the most key elements to making a really cohesive table and a really cohesive story. Okay, and that's the first 5 questions answered. I'm gonna try and knock these out about once a week, and I'm gonna keep adding to this list. So this is probably gonna be an ongoing series. If for some reason this is the first time you've heard of me, my name is Aram Vartian. I am a DM and producer and podcaster on the Neon Rivals Network. I make a show called Godsfall. I am a player on a show called The Dungeon Rats. I am doing a run through the Tomb of Annihilation. And recently I started my first live stream, Rivals of Waterdeep, which was both very intimidating and probably one of the most rewarding things I've ever done. That's every Sunday, 12 p.m. Central, so be sure to check that out. And you can find everything I do on neonrivals.com, and you can follow me on Twitter at vardian.com. That's Martian, but with a V. So thanks for listening to me ramble, and I'll see you guys next time for more DMing 101.